Okay, welcome to the September 18th meeting of the Wayne Planning Board. Will the members present please state their names, starting with you, Jeannie?
Jeannie Burnett.
Richard Mackley.
Ed Bergman.
Andrew Gorel. CEO Chip Stevens.
Yes.
And everybody is, Richard, would you be willing to have the full member tonight?
Yes.
Thank you. So we have a quorum. Did we have any minutes from last meeting to approve?
We did.
We
We
did.
sent them out for everybody to review.
They were a little while back, weren't they?
Jeannie did, right?
Like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
2 days. Oh, sorry.
you need to, yeah.
I've been away all week. Also, when you say meeting minutes, I never know if it's the library.
I think I actually just replied to the thread again, which was a couple.
Any comments on the minutes?
Well done.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second the motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
One opposed, minutes are approved. We have 2 orders of business tonight, both are internal board matters, both should hopefully be fairly brief. You want to start with the update in general code, Chip?
Sure. I am glad to say to you all that all the work on our side has been completed with the general code, taking everybody's comments. They've taken it, they've put together pretty much a rough final draft. That rough final draft was reviewed by me. I sent it out to all of you. Some of you gave me some suggestions, questions. And all the things that were not related to land use, Henry Steck took, and he just got back to me today with his piece, and that was submitted. So right now, the presses have stopped. They're putting together the final draft now. Probably take a few weeks, maybe a month or so. At that point, we'll get the product back, and I think what we'll be looking at is probably a joint meeting with the select board to get this thing to town meeting. Probably not this one, maybe one after Christmas or sometime. But that's the game plan. We're towards the end, and maybe we should be keeping a list of things like you suggested. Jeannie came in earlier, for those of you online, suggested we have a definition for heavy industry and light industry.
Particularly in regard to potential server farm development.
Right. So that's it for general code. I'll let you all know when the product comes back. We'll get it to you, and hopefully everybody will be impressed.
Hopefully. Are you taking this notes,
No.
Ed, or is,
I am,
Are you-
you know.
have you got minutes covered?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay, any questions for Chip on that?
Chip, I just want to ask you one question. I'm not real clear. I was at the select board meeting and it was brought up about the website. That has nothing to do with the people that you hired, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
They did?
Well, not the overall website, okay? This was one of the big pluses about doing this, is that once they get done, they will host the ordinances online. And hopefully you'll see that it's in a format that's much easier than in the past, where you had to put it on Word and search and everything. It'll have references to historical, where the ordinances came from
Mhm.
and how they matured to where they are now. And what helps with that too is their annual fee, which is nominal. They keep an eye on it and check it out now and then for updates and state statutes, changes and so forth. So hopefully we have a fresh product there all the time, and we'll have something that not just you can use as a board, but also, you know, for hearings we have and everything, should make it easier for people to get through it.
But people can go in and they don't have to search the entire World Wide Web for
Exactly,
answers.
right.
That was the discussion.
Most likely they'll go to the town website. Town website will have a link to it.
Okay.
And everything that has to do with ordinances, land use, and others, amusement, things like that, will be available to them.
Okay. Thanks. All right.
All right. Any further questions, or do we want to move on to the next item? All right, so the next item is the comprehensive plan. And an update on that, I talked. So I went looking into the portion of the planning board ordinance, which says that we are responsible for preparing or supervising the preparation of comprehensive plan, as discussed last time. Last time I noted that I wanted to look at what was in that section that we referenced, which is expired. So I contacted MMA, and MMA got back to me and said, yes, that section expired in 1988. They referred me to the new section. They said that the section still exists, but was moved to a new area. I looked at that area, and it has very comprehensive guidance for the creation of comprehensive plans, which they are calling growth management plans now. So there's a lot there. One key point was that it specifically says that the responsibility for the creation of a committee is the select boards, not the planning boards.
Mhm.
So it also does explicitly say they can designate the planning board. And so I had a discussion with Henry, communicated to him that we thought that it seemed like we thought, I said I would ask you all, but that a committee was the choice that we favored. And he thought that sounded sensible, and agreed.
What was the choice? I'm sorry. The choice was committee
Either a committee doing it or us doing it.
doing the,
Comprehensive plan. We would talk last time about a committee being able to be more representative, more diverse.
right.
So it sounds like everyone's in agreement on a committee, and that being the case, he agreed that we looked at the law together. He agreed that it is the select board's responsibility to appoint. He would like and feels that the language in the planning board ordinance that specifies that we will supervise the preparation of comprehensive plan is not invalidated by the fact that the select board will create the committee. So the structure he is proposing is, one, tonight, we ask the select board formally to create a committee to update the comprehensive plan, and we provide a charge for that committee. I wrote a draft charge. I sent it to you like an hour ago, so you may not have seen it, but if you want to be able to pull it up in your computers, I thought that might be it. Easy way. If you want to read it, Richard, I can just give it to you.
Actually, I have,
Oh, wait,
you sent it by email, right?
I did, yes. As long as you are finally on that list, and it should be there.
so it's a charge for the committee that if they agree, that if the select board agrees, they would select the committee, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes,
And they would go follow these steps, is what you're saying for the charge
they
to
would,
that committee?
they would select a committee based on this charge. A committee that they feel can fulfill this charge or this mandate,
Mhm.
and then we would supervise the committee's work. So the committee would then report progress to us and et cetera.
Okay, they appointed them.
They
Okay.
appoint it, that's sort of the key difference between what our ordinance says and the updated state law. At some point we should, or I don't know if we can update our own ordinance, the select board might have to do that,
Yeah.
but. Yes, sir.
My name is Tico Brown. I live on Tucker Road. I was on the past comprehensive plan committee. One of the things that I felt was lacking in the work that we did was the representation of people. When you looked at everybody on the committee, we were kind of right in the middle. There were no really younger people and there were no really older people. And I'm pretty interested in trying to figure out, is there a way, pardon me, is there a way that the select board, when they're establishing their committee, if they could have some guidance about, let's try to get somebody from the younger side, and let's, if not trying to get somebody from the older people, at least finding out first from some of them, why are they here? What brings them to the town? I know what brought me here, and I'm sure that there are a lot of things that are same for many other people that are still here, but, you know, for the representation that we had, we covered just about anything that you needed to do in a nice plan. But I felt that those two sides of it weren't as well represented as perhaps they could be. I know finding people is difficult these days, but I would try to encourage the select board to try to extend their work a little bit and see if they can't find some people that would be interested in working. The work is very interesting. Once you get into this, there's a lot of very interesting work that ended up coming out of the current plan. And I found that incredibly interesting.
Thank you.
I'd like to comment on that, Tico. First of all, thanks for doing what appeared to me to be a momentous. I think the selection process for the last then called comprehensive plan, now called what? Growth benefit plan, was that they selected one person from each of the committees in the town is what I heard. Do you recall that?
I don't.
Okay, well, that's what
I'm
it said.
sorry, yeah.
Now, I don't know if that was the actual, I don't know who was on what.
Well, I don't think I represented at the time any particularly committee. I was just,
You hadn't been on a committee, then a planning board or appeals board or,
I
Budget
had
committee.
been on an appeals board numbers of years ago, but not
Okay.
active. And I think the only reason that, well, I think a reason that I was selected to be on the committee was I said, okay, I'll do it.
Right.
And so,
and the getting volunteers is, you know, that was mentioned at the select board meeting Tuesday night also, that it's difficult. It may be a marketing issue too. Who's gonna do the marketing to say, you know, you're gonna put it on the church bulletin board, on the post office? Are we gonna put it on the marketplace? Whatever it is, the one that comes out the paper monthly, you know, the town, how to get volunteers. That may be a process that hopefully the select board, if they're making that decision, will look at it at length. How do I get people to volunteer when they're working? The younger people are still working. We have I'm in a men's group, and that group mostly retirees. But young people, you know, to make meetings, I'm surprised we have some younger people, I'll put it that. We have a couple, and it's refreshing.
and
But it's
it
difficult.
might be part of, as you're saying on marketing, how can you try to bring
Influence?
something into the discussion that would interest some people? And, you know, it's nice if they can get a good group as a planning committee. But I think it's even more important if they can get active people to participate in the discussions in the meetings. And yeah, maybe they're not official members of the group, but they're participating. It's the participation that I think is most important.
I think those are great ideas and great feedback. I would very much encourage you, because as the difference between one of the changes here that was significant is that because the select board will be appointing the committee, it's really the select board who will have control over the process. So in terms of marketing, I know that's a discussion they're having right now in terms of how to get more people involved with committees. So, I mean, we can put in our charge, like, we could encourage diversity, but really it's up to the select board to decide who they, with the authority to appoint is the authority to choose who to appoint. So, but that would be great feedback to give them. And also I do know a few other people in town are actively working on that, like Ken Spalding has been putting forth a few initiatives to try to increase the diversity of volunteers on committees.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Could we add like a charge piece that was like including community, do we have something in there already to like about including the community and feedback that's not a part of the.
I think that would,
committee's mandate?
Yeah, it talks about citizen participation, for example.
Where,
It says in section,
Are you reading the old
subsection
one?
3 of section.
he's
3
reading
of
that, so the state
24.
statute provides extensive. Yeah, right, so all we're doing is a charge for the creation of the committee. The state statute had extensive guidelines, which I believe have been updated since the last time, well. We were referencing the old ones, so I don't know if we looked at them last time, but they, the state statutes have very clear and precise guidelines on public participation. Which must be followed for it to be a comprehensive plan, which is recognized by the state. Which is sort of the point of having a comprehensive plan, because one of the big reasons you have a comprehensive plan is to be eligible for state grants,
got it.
so.
And that's what you referenced, the 30-A, yeah.
Right,
Right,
if you plug that into.
You plug those in
the
and
browser,
look at it.
it will give, and I can send people the actual links if you like, but,
No,
it's not a, yeah, the brief read is, yeah, I think what you're looking at, the top of it's fairly brief. It does go into much more detail, in other sections, but. So. We're creating just the charge of the creation of the committee. We're not really. Attempting at least my understanding is we're not attempting to provide like a full process for the committee. Much of that will be done by will be provided by the state statutes, and also we will be supervising them, so we will have further input on the process. This is just a charge
Yeah,
for.
they're in charge, meeting, the select board is in charge of the committee, how to obtain the committee out of here.
Yes, so we're
And
just.
then we're in charge of managing or managing the operation of it,
Supervising.
supervising.
I mean, we
What
can.
does that mean to you?
I mean, I think the way that it generally works is the committee would go and they would decide, the committee has the ability to request resources in the town. That's one of the reasons why the select board wants us to get
Got it.
started earlier, so that
Resources.
if they want, so if the committee wants resources, that they can allocate it in time for the next town meeting. So the committee can, in many ways, define its own process, but I think it would be a dialogue between us. Like, if we don't like what they're doing, we could say, this concerns us. If we would like them to do something they're not doing, we can say, there's not. I guess one would hope there are not big conflicts of authority between the comprehensive planning committee and the planning board. That's not. That may be outlined in the state statute. It's not outlined in ours, what happens in that case, but in general. They would be doing the work, deciding to a large degree how they wish to do the work. They would report to us and we would give feedback.
So I'm generally in favor of the procedure you're recommending. I'm a little uncomfortable, voting on the charge at this point, since we really haven't had a chance to review it. I just saw it, at this meeting for the first time. And I do, based on a very quick read of it, although I agree, and we've talked about it, is that in practice, you really are gonna start with the old plan and in effect update it. I don't think the planning process really contemplates that so much, that you're necessarily just revising the old plan. It's supposed to be a de novo planning process, as I understand it. So I'm a little concerned that the charge as it's drafted now might be a little too restrictive. So I'd ask for a little more time to review that and give you some further comments on that. I think Chip. what do you
If
say?
I may, this has been a whole summer of back and forth, what this is, who's gonna do it and everything.
Right,
I'm pretty sure that the select board wants to get going on this. I understand your concerns, but there's even more things to be considered besides that. Andrew did an excellent job. I worked with him a little bit on going through what the charges were and everything. It turns out that many of the things that, we were charged with has been changed radically by recent rescissions of different statutes in the main thing. So there's gonna be a lot of things. There's gonna be some things unexpected, whatever. But I'd really, really encourage you to move forward tonight. Send it to the select board. They're gonna have the same discussion as we had tonight. And if you're really concerned, I would suggest that you volunteer as the representative from the, because they're gonna ask for a representative from this group, but I think that this thing really has to start moving or else it's gonna be late. If it indeed was done last in 16, you said it was put out?
2016, yeah.
Yeah, we have to do it every 10 years, so
I know,
we're behind so
Yeah.
I'd say, there's a lot of things that you'd like to have in a perfect world. It ain't a perfect world. My strong suggestion to you would be move it on. And then work with them in terms of your concerns.
If I can add to that, Henry has also expressed a fair degree of urgency to it because he wants, his main concern, I guess, is
getting it
getting
going.
getting to the point where they know whether they need to request resources for the next budget, because as he has said, he has no resources to give them, if something is not in place. I mean, this is a very, to me, the chart, like, the important thing is to get.
Get the
Process.
process rolling.
Go.
I'm
Do
not,
it.
I'm not married to this. If we want to make it like less restrictive, like, I would love to talk about that further with you, like, I have feelings about it. But to me, that's not necessarily something that has to be defined at the beginning, like, is this a de novo process, is it a revision of a current? Like, that doesn't affect whether the committee gets created or who's. on it.
Yeah, and no, I agree with that, and I see no reason why we can't move forward tonight with asking the select board to constitute the committee and get the process rolling. I'm not sure that it's really essential for us to create a charge, for two reasons. First of all, I think there's a lot of detail on the statutes already in terms of what the responsibilities are. And the second is, given that we, the planning board, have supervisory authority, in effect, we can, we can provide ongoing guidance as the process unfolds, it seems to me. I have no reservations about moving forward with the process. I do have some reservations about the charge.
How would you feel if, so the charge was, again, just at Henry's request, I think his thinking was simply that they want to know what the committee they're creating is for. The level of detail that I put in, it sounds like you would prefer at the moment to take out the last little paragraph about emphasizing that it's a revision.
Yeah, let me just go back to the,
Could you also just change it to say like the committee is encouraged to like weigh the merits of like a revision versus a de novo plan? Just so you're like putting the bug in someone's ear that they could choose just to revise it.
Yeah, let them have the decision.
We could certainly do that. A revision of revising the comprehensive of, let's see, to weigh the benefits of. Revising the existing comprehensive plan versus a de novo process. And again, it's something I'd love to talk more about at length. I think it's a fairly key point to the process. To me, the key part of what we send the select board tonight is simply the key points that, to me, are, we'd like a committee created. We would like them to follow the relevant new state statutes and the guidance therein. And we would like them to consider that and changes in ways since the last comprehensive plan. Like, does that feel like a safe enough?
yeah, the way you just stated it, I have no problem with. I just, the way it's drafted, it seems to limit it. Because, for example, item number 2 is evaluate the compliance of the current comprehensive plan and define work needed to bring the current plan into compliance. My understanding is that's not really, I mean, in practice, you're gonna be, I hope, starting with work that's already done and not reinventing the wheel. But the planning process should really start with providing citizen input, providing, concerns from the public, holding public hearings, finding out what the kind of process you talked about where, you're gathering, you might find, I think it's unlikely, but it's conceivable you wind up taking a whole new direction than the old plan. Unlikely, but I don't think it's necessarily our position to say you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that.
We can, I can certainly agree that may not be appropriate for the charge. Like, that is a point that I would debate later. For me, I am more wary of people spending a ton of effort on something. When a ton of effort has already been spent without real concrete reason to do so, particularly on a document that the town does not have a great history of invoking. The new state guidelines do provide much more concrete steps as to how the comprehensive plan is supposed to influence ordinance creation and alteration. So following this process, there would in theory be more follow through, sort of mandated by the state process, although some of the language is a little fall more on the encourage side than on mandate. I mean, that's just to say that that is like, I wrote it that way because that is how I like, that is my sort of what feels wisest to me, but I don't, but that is my opinion. And again, I wrote this on a plane today, like, you know,
You are,
I was,
Yeah.
yes. Your puns are just on point today. Yeah. So
Well,
I don't need
is
to.
it, is it
need to
really
charge, but-
necessary to provide a charge at this point? Has the select board asked us to provide a charge, or did Henry?
Henry
Yes.
asked for a charge.
Did specifically ask for that?
I'm fine with it being broader, I mean, it doesn't have to have this level, we can discuss. We can discuss actual process and limitations later if there are, you know, if there's significant difference of opinion in the board, like within the board. I wanted to have a starting point for us to talk about, basically, I didn't want to come
Yeah.
here and be writing it as we.
Yeah.
As we talked, so if we feel more comfortable with a broad. Just create a plan based on the state guidelines and reflecting changes in the town of Wayne since the last plan.
Yeah, I personally would be more comfortable with that, yeah.
I'm fine with that, and we can figure the rest out later, if everybody, like, Ed, Jeannie, how do you,
I'm just trying to get, what you're concerned about is that we're boxing in the parameters of the committee, the charge, is that my understanding of mine?
Yes,
Hearing you wrong.
yeah.
And then what you wanted, you wanna open them up to broader ideas, but they're gonna get that from the populace if they do, and I agree with you, because part of the, and it doesn't say so in the charge, but I believe, hopefully it does, in the state requirements for this new, I'll never get this name right, it's the name of it, Growth Benefit Plan,
growth management?
Growth management.
GBP,
Yes.
Growth Management, okay?
So what's that?
And that they'll get that in that information, that you're gonna seek information from public, from the people that are in the town.
Yeah.
So that they aren't gonna be restricted by this charge, are they? You
Exactly.
feel they might
Well,
need that.
Well, I mean, therein comes some of the problem. I mean, if on the one hand, if we're statutorily obligated to look for broad input and, you know, come up with a plan, but we've got a charge that says, well, now you gotta start with the old plan and basically just, you know, see how if at all, it ought to be changed. I mean, in a sense, you could say that's a technical difference, because you could wind up amending it so much that it's totally different anyway. But I do think it's overly restrictive to put it, that,
You
you
feel
know,
that
to
way.
limit it that
Okay.
way, yeah.
And I think Andrew was saying he just wants to see it as a general guideline of the old plan, which I too feel would be, obviously, there's a lot of input that was here that was very valuable. I read it and I'm amazed. So, hopefully they can use some of that, some of the data has certainly changed.
Yeah.
And we all know that, and then. But is it restricting, a new comprehensive plan? I'm not so sure it is.
I mean, to
It
use
is.
it, to use
You lawyers
a
can-
metaphor that occurs to me, you know, if you're redesigning a new car, you can say, take last year's model and decide how you ought to change it, you know? Or you could say, redesign a new car, you know, if you redesign a new car, you're more likely to say, you know, we should do an electric car instead of an internal combustion engine. Whereas if you're saying, you know, just kind of fine tune last year's model, you're not gonna come up with that.
So
And to be clear, me and Richard are just disagreeing entirely, I like,
I think you guys,
we have entirely different visions of what the process should be.
you do?
Oh, yes, I mean, but that, we don't have to settle that to ask for the committee to be created.
Right.
And we don't, you know, it's not, planning board supervises it, we don't necessarily decide what it is either.
Right.
It's not necessarily up to us.
And that's my point. I think we can provide input on precisely these kinds of issues, you know, as we go along.
And part of my goal is also to I do have, I mean, we'll see who we get. I have concerns about people signing up for a multi-year process, like a process as large as the previous one. Like if we get people who are excited about it, like, I both want to preserve the work that was done because much of it to me has not lost validity. And I also don't want to create a mandate that we're not gonna, a mandate, a committee with a mandate so large that nobody's going into it. These can all be discussed later and are not necessarily fully our purview anyway, but how does this sound? Produce a comprehensive plan following the guidelines set out in 30A MRS 4321 to 4328, conforming to the requirements set out in said statute and reflecting changes in the town of Wayne since the creation of the last comprehensive plan.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Everyone's good with it? This is a starting point for getting a
Yeah,
committee.
I think as long as we're able to like, because I feel like even though we should restrict them to, as long as we feel like it will be communicated to them that they don't have to start 100% from scratch.
We'll get to talk to
Yeah,
them. I mean, you know,
that's broad enough to.
yes, sir.
Thank you. I think it's sufficiently broad and open. One of the things that I found in my participation with the former committee was it can be pretty dynamic and we don't always know what we think is coming, which is part of the fun part about it, actually, and the interesting part about it. And the fact that we were able to look at what were seen as problems coming and giving some thought to that, not always solutions, but thought that the solutions would come in former following work. I think somewhere, and I'm sure it will be discussed as the committee ends up formulating its work, discussing, okay, what's relevant as to something was talked about, we didn't get it done, why didn't we get it done? I think those will actually end up coming out in the discussion, and I don't know that there's a lot of need to advise the selectmen to be looking for this, because I think it's just gonna happen. Because somebody reading this is gonna say, oh, last time we talked about, and what happened here? And that's gonna come out. I think that's part of the process, and by making it as general as suggested, I think you've opened it up to great possibilities, and thank you.
Thank you. Well, it seems like everybody is on board with this. You want me to read it one more time, or is everybody?
Let's do it one more time.
Okay.
It sounded good first.
Well, I will make a motion, since I think I can still make motions, as I will make a motion to formally request that the select board create a committee to produce a comprehensive plan for the town of Wood update, produce a comprehensive plan for the town of Wayne with a proposed charge to produce a comprehensive plan following the guidelines set out in 30A MRS 4321 to 4328, conforming to the requirements set out in said statute and reflecting changes in the town of Wayne since the creation of the last comprehensive plan. All in favor? Okay. Thank you very much. I will send that to is that good enough for the select board?
Yes.
Okay. I will send it to Henry. And that's all I have. Do we have any other items needing discussion, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
So with regard to the site plan that we were, rather the site visit that we were gonna do today, but has been postponed. I just wanna. talk
It's
a little bit-
indefinite, so I can't give you any
Oh,
answer.
okay. Well, so in your email, you had said they had requested a 1 month postponement.
It's indefinite. I will let you know when that comes up. He's not sure what he's doing. He's
Okay, so it's not necessarily
Not
on
necessarily,
schedule for next
Right.
month.
right,
Okay,
He has to come back with a new,
plan.
yes,
okay, and that'll be whenever. Okay,
when he comes back, we'll see him. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
if he wants another site, he has to come with a new plan, which will then require a separate schedule.
He has to get this plan to me 2 weeks before the meeting, so I will keep you addressed on that.
so let me understand the process. Will we review the new plan before we, anything further, including the site visit, or?
Yes, I mean, we'd have to evaluate, because it would be a new plan, we'd have to evaluate it completeness
Okay,
again.
okay,
Like, I mean,
okay. So it's really from scratch, all.
my understanding, I mean, he's coming with a whole different,
We'll find out.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're under, yeah, we have no timeline anymore since he's withdrawn it. So
Okay.
he has to initiate the process.
oh, okay, he's actually withdrawn the old. the
No, he has
application.
not. No,
Okay. So he's coming back with a revision.
he's given us an extension, so
Yeah,
we have time.
okay, because. Yeah, I mean, we've found his application complete, so the clock is ticking, except to the extent that he's requested an extension, obviously he's waived that, so.
Right.
But so we're on an indefinite
Right.
timeline, okay,
Until he comes back.
okay. Good, thank you.
My pleasure. Any more business, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Go home.
Thank you.
Quick night.